Hey, Teresa. So I think other people will join us as the call is ongoing. Do you need anything from me? I can just start the introduction and then you proceed with the workshop. In the meantime, as other people join. So welcome to the call, everybody. Teresa works with Funding the Commons. She leads the community there. Obviously, she can do a better introduction of for herself. So I'll let her do that. But excited to have you, Teresa, on this call, and looking forward to all the insights that you share. Before we start, can everybody just like turn on their cameras for us to do a quick digital selfie, as customary? Just want to have a memory of this, and also when we're posting it on socials. So if you can just do cool, a cool pause as I try to do this. Smiles, everybody. Good. I've taken the selfie. Thank you so much for being cooperative. We expect more people to join the. For now, I'll let Teresa introduce herself and also kickstart the session. Thank you so much, Teresa, for agreeing to do this. Our builders are grateful and can't wait to see what you share.
Thank you so much. Really excited to be here. I would like to actually kick us off with a little survey. I always like doing that to kind of make sure we're, like on the same page and to kind of set the tone for the conversation today. So I'm going to put a link here in the chat for anyone that wants to participate by giving their answers. It's to a Slido. I'm going to share my screen as well so we can all see it there. So that would be awesome. You can also actually join from your phone wherever you'd like. And let me share my screen so we can get into it. This should be fun. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen now. If you enter the survey, it should open this question, the first question that we have, which is, what does your project need most right now? And this can really be anything that you can think of. What would help you the most, from, like users to feedback to funding, anything that you want to type in. Hopefully it's working for everyone. Okay, awesome. There's few responses coming in. I'll give it like a minute so we can get a good picture. I think if you already wrote in one word, you should maybe be able to add anything else as well. There should be multiple responses allowed. I'll just give it a few more seconds. I'll just check if anyone, okay, drop anything in the chat. We are good. Okay, so users and funding seem to be the predominant needs right now. Funding, partnerships, that's awesome. Okay, so this is giving us, okay, someone else is typing. Social media growth, awesome. So we have a few themes that we're actually gonna touch upon today here already, which is great. I'll move us to question number 2. We have 3 questions in total. And the second one should be kind of the most difficult one for everyone here to answer. But if you have your project defined, I'm sure that you already worked on some kind of positioning. So I would like to know here, what is, like, in one sentence, the unique value you bring to the ecosystem? And before you answer this, I want to stress the word unique, because I think that, like, it's easy to say something like building an infrastructure for stablecoins, or, like transforming DeFi or something like that. But if you think about maybe specifically the $Good ecosystem, what is something unique that you are bringing? What is something that you really want to change? What is the pain point that you're solving? And, this doesn't have to be perfect. This is anonymous, by the way. So don't worry about, like, not getting every single word right. But think about the idea more than anything else. I'll also drop in the link in the chat just in case anyone is joining late. And let's see if anyone brave is gonna drop in their answer here.
Guys, can we type in chat to engage Teresa? I can see you, Colin, Salise. We just want to find out, like, to build onto the conversation. Zinta,
Yeah, let's see if anyone else comes in
yeah,
with something.
Salake. I think I also see Prince.
If not, no worries.
Yeah.
We can also revisit after, but um, yeah, like having a strong one-liner of the unique value you bring is really, really important. So just kind of wanted to stress it here and see if anyone has anything to share. I think new vertical would be great, but being even more specific, I'd love to see like what the vertical is and how you're kind of approaching it. Um, but good that we have some answers here. Distribution channel, I would be curious about that. So maybe we can get to it in the end. I would love to hear more about your projects as well. I'll move us to question three just so that we're progressing, which is a fairly simple one. From 1 to 5, how embedded do you feel right now in the Good Dollar ecosystem? So, 1 being the least and 5 being the most active. Where do you feel like you are right now? Okay, so we have more or less more active projects here, it seems, which I guess makes sense if you're on the call. It seems that you're pretty active. Okay, so seems like most of us feel pretty confident about like participating in an ecosystem. So this is what I'm gonna be talking about today. Okay, so most projects on the map, so somewhere in the middle. So I'm gonna close the poll now and get into the slides. I'll start sharing on full screen. So let me just kick it off. So I wanted to have this ball for us to kind of start thinking about, us being a part of something. And ecosystem thinking, which is the theme of today's workshop, is exactly that. Us not thinking of our project as, just the product and that's pretty much it and chasing users, but also thinking that a great way to, like attract audiences, partners, funding, exposure is actually by engaging kind of around the ecosystem that's around us. And that can be specifically for this good dollar, but it can also be the broader Web3 ecosystem or any kind of ecosystem that you're part of. I named it this Be a Citizen, Not a Tourist, because I think this also often comes with a little mind shift of, like really realizing that this work often isn't the most tangible one, but really pays off. And it requires that thinking, okay, how can I participate? How can I give back? How can I provide value rather than just how can I, like come here and extract and kind of like visit and then perhaps leave without leaving anything behind. So that's kind of what we're going to be diving into. And it's interesting because I feel like, a lot of this is kind of like, again, a mindset, but there is like a specific art and craft to it too. So I hope that you leave maybe with some ideas of what you can do more to kind of engage the opportunities and, the broader ecosystem that you're a part of. So a little bit about me. I'm Teresa. I work as the community and communications lead at Finding the Commons. Finding the Commons is basically a network that focuses on innovating in public goods funding infrastructure. So we do care a lot about things like shared infrastructure and open source software. We launched in 2021. We're incubated by Protocol Labs, and our main activations include events, conferences, hackathons, residencies, and we're increasingly also exploring things like pilots and research. The reason that I wanted to do this workshop today is that I feel like partnerships and relationships and generally kind of realizing your role in the ecosystem and acting on it is perhaps like the most powerful thing that you can do. And I would often argue, and that might be controversial, that it goes even before or above perfecting your product. So I would say that having a good product and developing these relationships is even more important than having the best possible product. And I'll talk about why today. But I think even when you think about your own like Web3 journeys, even when I think about mine, I wouldn't be here even talking to you today if there were not people that like made a bet on me, or people that helped me, or kind of me going the extra mile when taking on like a little unpaid opportunity, or making an introduction for someone. So that's kind of what I'm going to be arguing for today. This is the core message of the whole presentation, and really kind of one of the two main takeaways that I want you to have, which is that you grow faster as a project by being generous, visible, well-positioned within an ecosystem rather than building alone. And again, even especially if you're a smaller project, it might be hard to think that you can outbuild someone, especially when you look at projects that have, I don't know, venture funding. But I think your power is that even if you cannot outbuild them, there is a big chance that you can actually outbelong them by being a part of an ecosystem. So that's what we're going to be looking at. The first thing that I want to say is that the first shift that comes is not really thinking about what can I get from Good Dollar, or what can I get from any ecosystem that I'm part of, but also what can I actually provide. And that comes also from thinking about what is important in an ecosystem, whether that's building some key infrastructure, whether that's I don't know, publishing a dashboard, whether that's sharing stories, whether that's driving on-chain traction, whether that's sharing stories and case studies, whether that's bringing new eyeballs to the ecosystem, or anything like that. So this is like a homework that I want you to take away from this is really, okay, like I have received value from, maybe these calls, or maybe from my mentors, or from participating in the demo days, but how am I giving back? And it doesn't have to mean, like giving back, like specifically like spending hours and hours of, crunching some kind of like product that you can share, but also maybe giving praise, or sending a thank you note, or making an introduction, or thinking about a project that shared some struggle that they're having, and you knowing the answer to that. So really kind of thinking in this positive sum game level, I would say. And then it's obviously an exchange to the things that you can then get, whether that's the audience, whether that's the introduction, whether that's, funding, or credibility. So it is like a kind of self-reinforcing flow. But for it to function, you really need to think about, okay, what am I providing, or how can I be a citizen? So I think it comes in 5 different layers, actually, and this is kind of going to be the structure of the different things you're going to look at. So rather than just users, you can also get audiences, and that is the users, but also broadly kind of like, marketing support. It can be different influencers that are amplifying your work. It can be basically anyone that is going to look at your work. Then there's moments, which can be kind of the different milestones and kind of the calendar of the ecosystem. So whenever there is an update, whenever there is a season, right? Whenever there is like a big launch, I often like when I see projects tapping into these moments. And you will see it around big events as well. For example, if you have, I don't know, a big launch for an event, like there is DEF CON, right? What if you build a feature for it that's going to help people do something for that event? Or, maybe there is a protocol update. So you're going to launch a dashboard showing how things get more efficient with that update, or anything like that. Then there is credibility, which really is kind of engaging the key people in the ecosystem, building the momentum, building your impact dashboards, showing how you're progressing, how you're learning. This is kind of a lot of the build in public mindset. Then there's capital, and I think capital also comes or goes hand in hand with marketing, because wherever you are a protocol, like it makes sense that, the project that you choose to support with funding, you also want them to do well, and, kind of, you want them to succeed, you want them to get traction. So these moments in every ecosystem are big marketing moments, and you also see it with the demo days and all that. And lastly, we have people, which is the mentors you can meet, that's the KOLs, that's the DevRels, all of those that can kind of vouch for you in the long term. And that's kind of where talent comes in as well. I bet that many of you, when it comes to Web3 opportunities, didn't really come across them like on LinkedIn, but it's a lot of introductions, it's a lot of recommendations, a lot of kind of one-on-one as well. So that's the last important pillar. And one thing that I did here is that I named these gifts because I really want us to start thinking about this in terms of value exchange and flow rather than, like kind of eye for eye favors or anything like that. So these are the 5 gifts we can unlock, especially if we are also making sure we're giving and providing in the first place. Um, you might say that, okay, this is like really obvious. I already knew this. And I would say, yes, it is really obvious, but you would be surprised that like many people don't actually do this well. And the clearest example of that is that um, you need to make the giving easy, right? As well. So, for example, if you are, or receiving easy as well, like both of those, if you have an announcement and you want for the ecosystem to amplify it, let's say that you just launched something and you message it to GoodDollar, you're like, okay, can you retweet it? Well, did you create a copy for them to share? Did you, I don't know, do you have a media kit ready? Do you have your logo ready? Like, do you have everything organized for them to make it like really, really easy? And the same comes with different tasks, right? Like I often get messages like, hey, do you want to jump on a call? And I'm like, no, you have to tell me why, right? You need to make the ask like super easy. So if you share, I don't know, like already you're working demo and you're like, okay, I want feedback on this. Can we jump on a 15-minute call where you tell me exactly what you think? I'm more likely to say yes, right? So even if you already have this kind of thinking like, okay, I am, part of something, I want to contribute, I want to learn, I want to connect with people, then make the connection as smooth and as easy as possible. So let's dive into each of these and kind of look at some examples. So when it comes to audiences, and this is again the users, this is the social media attraction, this is the eyeballs, the traffic, all of this. The first thing, which is quite obvious, is like compose, don't reinvent. So if there's already any primitives that you can build on, I think that's the best thing you can do. Because you are kind of borrowing traction for already established products, right? So I saw a lot of you build with GoodDollar Identity, which is awesome. There's obviously so many different primitives in the Ethereum ecosystem, like ENS, EAS. There's the Farcaster social graph. One that I'm a really big fan of is HyperCert, which is like an impact protocol certificate standard. So there's a lot, and I can tell you when, for example, we run funding rounds. Right now we are running a few on Artisan, which is like a creator funding platform. Whenever I see a project and their application saying, for example, that they're leveraging a hypersearch, I'm thinking a few things. First is that they already know what are the different things that they can borrow and work with without having to build them themselves. And second, I know that they have a good oversight of the landscape already, which is making me think that they're capable. So that's the first thing. Second up is partner up, but for real. By this I mean that like it might be tempting to just go and slap like 10 logos on your website to make it seem like you have like lots of partners and everyone trusts you. But I would say that having fewer like well-trusted partners that you actually did something with, whether that's a collaboration or integration, it is more powerful. And I would say that these partners can become like your long-term allies, and you never know what's going to happen, but it's good to cultivate this relationship in the long term, like very deeply. I would say that's kind of one of the best bets that you can make. And again, the borrowing of audiences is the most powerful thing you can do because, even if funding the comments, for example, we just did our internet freedom funding round with Tor, the browser. And it was really interesting because even though we have like some, I don't know, probably like 7,000 followers on Twitter, with this campaign, we were able to tap into Tor, who is like 500,000 probably on Twitter. So even this exchange, the fact that, we got tagged in the post or they retweeted our post was like really, really powerful. And now it's a partner that we are probably going to be collaborating with in the long term. Last thing, again, as I mentioned, make the ask easy, so whether that's having a post that you want amplified already, whether it's like having a very, very specific ask, make it as specific and easy as possible for the other person to act on it, even if it's like, donating it around or voting for you, like send them the link, say why they should do it, rather than like, hey, we're running this, do you by the way by any chance wanna, no, be very, very specific. Moving on to moments, and I'll just like time check us. Okay, we're fine for now. So moments again is kind of creating the calendar and understanding what is going on. And I think by doing that, you're kind of increasing your chance for luck, as some people say, because this is making sure you're in the right place at the right time. So whenever there is, like a big campaign, whether there is an update, how can you leverage for it strategically? And it doesn't always mean just joining the call, right? Okay, what can you do beyond that? Maybe in the demo day you can clip your participation and then put it on socials, right? Or maybe you can reach out to another project. Maybe you can get feedback from your mentor. So thinking about how you can leverage this moment like really well, I think is really powerful. And I know that if you're a small project, you probably are really busy and you're like, oh God, like she's like asking all these things and this is so tiring. But I promise you that actually, like, since you're already doing this anyways, if you make it strategic, it's going to be less work in the long term and it's going to be so much more rewarding. Like the ROI of, being strategic, I cannot like even empathize how much it is important. I've seen like so many times when projects and people are just like scrambling and trying to do everything. And okay, I need to be doing this and this and this. No, just like pick a few things and do them really well rather than, like trying to do everything. And I think this is kind of the high leverage thing that you can do. One more thing that I wanted to share here is that it might be useful to also like build like a little radar. And with Claude, it's really awesome the things you can do now, whether that's kind of setting alerts or building like an X list with people. I love doing that whenever there is like a team or a niche or even like an ecosystem that I'm really interested in. For example, I remember doing it with Octant some in the past seasons. I was like, okay, there are 15 projects participating in this round. I'm going to create an X list of them and I'm going to be watching them over the next 2 weeks and what they post. So you can do that as well with, I don't know, can be even the investors or partners that you're looking at. Because if you do that, then whenever they post something, you can immediately react to it or you can comment on it. So it helps you stay in the loop. Moving on to credibility. So I really like this quote by Vitalik saying that legitimacy is the most important scarce resource. It is so scarce because it doesn't come like automatically. This is a process that you have to build with trust. So this really means kind of the giving back part as well. This really means, not just sending someone a message whenever you need them, but this also means like noticing who needs support. This means noticing, okay, what can I do for someone else? This means whenever you notice, I don't know, an error in documentation, reaching out to the people and saying like, hey, I noticed this. So this works really, really well. In credibility, I would also say that storytelling is a big part of this. So whenever you have like a huge win, I would say like celebrate it loudly and clearly. I know that it can be sometimes, strange for some people to be very public, but I think it pays off with things like these. It is also like a way to kind of like build your journey or like build out your journey, like tracking or kind of like your impact journey, because then you can go back easily and see like, okay, what did I do at this point of time? So what I also like doing at Finding the Comments whenever we have an event or activation, I'm already in the habit of whenever it's done, like the first thing I do is create like an impact document. And again, with Claude or any AI you're using, it's super easy to create now to kind of like feed in all the data and say, okay, just like draft me a little one pager with the key metrics. And, even if I don't end up using it immediately after, I can already park it somewhere and I can use it whenever it's needed, whenever there is a grant application, whenever there is, I don't know, we're kind of putting together an annual impact report, whatever it might be. It's a really good habit to always be collecting stuff. And the last thing, again, be a face, stay legible. On the right, you can see a little stat that I pulled is that a personal profile usually gets 8 times more engagement than a company page, and you see it all the time. I've been trying to like build out different brands, LinkedIn accounts, like in the past years. And I can tell you that if you're doing it as an individual, it's going to go really, really faster. And people just love seeing other people and we love engaging with and supporting our network. So if you can also do that, I would really recommend it, especially if you have something really interesting to say that, can be a little more you, a little more authentic, a little more perhaps even controversial or opinionated. You can always retweet it from the company account as well to kind of like double share it. But if you can, yeah, be a face as well, it's super, super useful. Number four is capital. So this is when somehow you access like ecosystem funding. So the first point here I would say is that deliver value even before you ask for it. And this is like the usual like ecosystems or protocols are more likely to fund projects that already have attraction or already have users or already are active and are seen in the community calls or in telegrams and all that. So that's really important. Again, can be really, really light. It doesn't mean you have to like nail everything, but even if it's like a dashboard or if it's a case study, if it's a pilot, if it's a collaboration, anything like that already counts. Then I would say be present and be sharp, obviously, like always show up. I saw, for example, that right now there is a governance proposal being discussed in the Good Dollar Forum. So even little things like that, again, that make you a good citizen. Even if you think like, well, I mean, I have other things to do. Like this is always, I mean, these things affect you as well if you're building in the ecosystem. So just showing up and being active and taking the time, yeah, really, really pays off. And make your impact legible. That's kind of what I shared. It's always good to set these systems up because then you can maybe have them updated in real time without having to interact, whether that's like on-chain through stuff like Dune dashboards or whenever there is like around through Karma, because Karma is a good place also where you can trace your impact. But it's really, really useful and then saves you a lot of trouble before there is another round. You can find the right metrics for you. You don't have to measure everything and everything, but yeah, having that habit is super useful. Here I also added like a little do and don't for grants application. So I think this is probably like common reasoning. So like you don't have to overthink it. But for example, if you're not a fit for the grant, like don't push it. The people are probably gonna notice. Don't just like write everything with AI. Make sure that you include all the right links. Make sure your impact reporting and all that. Moving on to number 5, our last pillar. One thing here, again, it's the same thing, always like making sure you give value. But here I would also say do the things that don't scale. And that is a really important one to me personally, because that's kind of the magic of, going the extra mile. And you might think like, well, yeah, but why would I spend like an hour on this if it's not something that's going to give me like 5 or 10 users, right? Well, you never know like what it's gonna lead to. Like I recently had a really good experience with the Cake Wallet team because we were collaborating with them on the round with Tor that I had mentioned. And I was really impressed when I noticed that their own developers are actually doing customer support like manually. And in a time where you like run into an AI chatbot wherever you go, I was really impressed by it because we had like a Telegram chat. They were following up like really fast. Then they asked me if I was like able to solve everything and stuff. And just kind of that hand holding I found really helpful and would definitely like come back and want to partner with them again on stuff. So little things like that can really like go the extra mile. So if you are seeing somebody that's struggling, like feel free to step in. You're kind of like building this in the long term. And Web3 as a space also is like incredibly tiny and very closely knit. So you never know like when these relationships are going to like or where they're going to turn into, or what like a little moment, like a human moment with someone can turn into in the long term. And yeah, lastly, kind of what I mentioned, don't be afraid to make an introduction. Think about dogs. How can you improve them? Think about what other people need as well. So these were the 5 pillars. This is kind of just like a reflection slide about like what you can do for Good Dollar already. And this is something I'm saying again. I don't work necessarily like with Good Dollar, but thinking about okay, what can I give back? How can I be seen as valuable? How can I sustain myself in this ecosystem? How can I be seen as unique? What can I do? Is something really, really good to think about. And some examples that I really like. First is POP, which is a proof of attendance protocol, which is a project that has been around since 2019. They're actually winding down sadly, which is, I think, the sign of the times with the current market, and also just, I guess, finding a strong sustainable business model. But for a really long time, they were like wonderfully contributing and giving back to the ecosystem, right? Because since 2019 at eDenver, you could mint a token, like a really beautiful NFT, to show that you attended an event, right? It cost you nothing apart from maybe gas fees, which on layer twos were really, really tiny. And you could build these for any event that you had, for different things. You could build out your collections, your stack. It was like a really, really good thing to also like gate things, for example. So they approach things from serving first rather than like extracting. So that's a really good example. Then there is DeFi Llama, which is built by an anonymous dev since 2020. And even though there's a team, I actually checked, and the founder still like hasn't doxed themselves. And I think it's really cool because this person started building basically a scoreboard that everyone could use, and it was just like a hobby project. But after like a few months, people were approaching like, "Oh my God, can you feature us? Can you feature us?" And even though this person started like genuinely from a place like, okay, I want to build this because I think it's useful, rather than going to people like asking for money like immediately or something. And now it's scaled into like a sustainable project that everybody knows. I think is really, really telling. And then Snapshot, which is the voting platform that doesn't cost you anything to vote, basically. And it's interesting because they decided to build something considered like really, really boring, right? It's not something that is probably going to make them a ton of money, or, it's going to make them famous, like so famous in the Web3 ecosystem. But still, it's something that many communities need, and they knew it, and they decided to build that. So I think also approaching it like that, like, okay, maybe I can use, or I can build a small piece of plumbing that is going to really make a difference for this community, because I see that this community is constantly running into this issue, can be something useful to think about as well. So again, I think the common denominator here is like, how can I serve? And that is like the second kind of message for me in this workshop, apart from the fact that just like having this mindset is useful. But then, okay, how can I serve? Because we see that for projects, and I intentionally picked smaller ones. I could have picked like Uniswap or Aave that also serve though. Because if you think about like what Uniswap did, for example, they didn't want to like solve everything for everyone, right? They rather built something that was like permissionless liquidity that like other projects tapped into. So then, like hundreds of wallets, hundreds of aggregators, hundreds of games like started using that. And that's what scaled them. It was not them like trying to find these millions of users. It was them tapping into different products to do that. So it is really about like serving and solving pain points that is going to get you far. Even though the temptation might be to like first prioritize product. But I would say having a solid product and building with the community, and seeing how you can contribute and what gap you can fill is even more powerful. So just a little summary of things that you can avoid. As counterintuitive as it may sound, I would say in Web3, building in stealth is not going to get you far, especially if you're relying on support through grants, funding, partnerships, and things like that. Also, like reinventing what the ecosystem already gives you. So that's the different primitives you can leverage. Grant farming, obviously, again, like reputation here sticks incredibly. I know people that were labeled as grant farmers like 3 or 4 years ago, and I can tell you until today, people don't want to work with them again. So this like is going to be with you forever. Chain hopping is kind of similar. Like if you know a product that was, I don't know, building on GoodBuilder, and then they were building on Stellar, and then on, I don't know, another protocol, you're like, okay, they're just here to get a grant and then move on, rather than develop like a real relationship. So that can also be seen as a red flag, obviously. Announcing empty partnerships, just again, what I said about like putting the logo out there is not really helpful. only showing up when you need something. That often comes like in the funding rounds, right? Whenever there is like voting on or donating, and you're like, okay, every 3 months I'm here to ask you for money again. It's probably not as useful. Even if you're asking yourself like, well, but what can I really do? Well, maybe you know that person and their project, so why don't you, I don't know, comment on their tweet whenever you see something that they're celebrating, or like help them amplify their message, or I don't know, maybe promote their work somehow. Like it can really be the little thing, or if you praise them like in a public chat, that moves the needle. Then again, being noticeable, being public if you can, as a person as well, not just a project. Obviously, like sending generic copy paste proposals, and that's kind of like my pet peeve. Again, when I see the AI generated message, not even being related to my work, I am immediately like, no, I'm not even gonna finish reading this. So I would say, even though it's tempting, to just like blast 100 people, rather send a message to 10 people that like you really spend time thinking about why they should care about this. Ghosting after you get funded, I think that's obvious as well. And then renting users with rewards. So this is a big one as well, because in Web3, kind of airdrops and incentivization has been the easiest strategy to get people to participate in something. But if you're doing that, thinking about how to make them stay is really important, because otherwise you're not going to last until you run out of money to give. So whether that's building some kind of flywheels for them to be coming back, whether that's building some kind of ambassador programs that are going to make the people more involved, or anything like that, is worth thinking about. Even if it's just having like power users that you, I don't know, like promote and make feel welcome in your community somehow, even if it's just through like social capital, right? Like spotlighting them or on socials, or just sharing how much you value them and their feedback. Okay, so now we're at the end of the presentation, and I wanted to maybe open up discussion, see if anyone has any questions, and if not, maybe discuss these three questions that I have here.
So maybe I can jump in. So thank you so much, Teresa. Obviously, I know you have to jump in a bit, but for me, I think I was actually even noting down the things that you were talking about, because these are things that I also speak with the builders all the time. Like, hey, be present. Be loud about your project. It seems a bit weird, but be loud about what you're doing. Show face. Be someone who is engaging with the community. And so I really appreciate the fact that you stressed on compounding reputation. Showing up even when you don't need to show up. I think that's a big thing. And then also just being real about like what you're building and committing to the cause. I think I would want you to you stop sharing, but the question too I wanted to
Let me see if I can just share the window, because I would love to see you all as well. We probably do it. I am always so bad at this. No, it's probably just sharing my meet. I will share my screen then. Let me just do the whole screen.
And as you share, like even like the whole stressing that impact should be like impact should be loud. People should be loud about what they're doing, and then also trying to basically build for people and trying to build solutions for people, because most of the builders here have built like real products that are serving real people. And so just encouraging them to continue building something that could be scalable. As an example, the 2019 hackathon project that now every person uses, right? So I really appreciate you for doing this. I wanted to answer the question, can you name three people who would vouch for you right now, and if not, how can you change that? So this was more of a ecosystem workshop, but also it was in some way very personal, and also like building your brand as a person, and also like continuing to vouch for yourself. I think I can name people who can vouch for me, majorly because of working with them and also building this reputation over time, being loud about, hey, like maybe I didn't work with someone for like 3 years, or like a community for 3 years, and then I'm like, okay, hey, I know we didn't speak the last time, but this is what I'm doing. And so because of that, I think I have people who can vouch for me. What I would do more, I think, is definitely build a presence, because at the moment I am on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere but X, and so what I'm taking from this, is that I need to change that. And also another thing that maybe you didn't talk about now, but I want to also, incorporate like what you said about taking snippets of even like a workshop that you've attended or hosted. As Good Dollar, we can take snippets of this and keep posting so that we tell people, what we're doing. So answered the question very broadly, but that's the question I can take, and maybe somebody else can take. I know you have very few minutes, but that's my take. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, just to comment on what you said is that I can definitely see like why people would vouch for you, because even like in my experience interacting with you on Telegram, I can see that you're a person that like I can ask a question and you would take the time to answer, and even just like being available to people like that and like helpful is really really powerful. And it sometimes like feels like the least we can do, but it is something that makes me feel like I can approach you, right? And I can always ask you something, and we can have this kind of like positive exchange without me feeling like, oh, like what is Rael gonna say? Am I stupid for asking this question or anything?
Yeah. Thanks for that. And yes, that's my contribution. Anybody else who wants to go after me? Teresa has very few minutes, so
You can pick any question if anyone wants to answer any of these.
Marcelo.
Hi, I have a little bit of background noise, so um, sorry for that, but I hope everyone can hear me well. I think I will take can I take the first question? What actions can I take? One thing that I'm talking with Hael and the rest of the Good Dollar team is regarding other ecosystems where Good Dollar can attach to. And I onboarded a friend that knows other ecosystems, and today we have the news that now that other ecosystem also works in the dollar. So this is one of the things I'm trying to do. Of course, not perfect, and the merits it's to the technical team that actually fixed everything and made it work. So, but it's something that I'm trying to push.
That's really amazing. And I love kind of the, again, playing the positive sum games, because if you want this protocol or this ecosystem to succeed, that really is the best thing you can do. Just like thinking about how can we all, succeed.
So thanks, Marcelo, for sharing. Anybody else?
Let's get
Seems
at
like
least one more.
Yeah. I'm not sure we. Okay, yeah, we have someone else. Prince.
So, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So, for the first question, actually, so what action do we actually take? So, we will actually make the Google verified identity. So, we will generally fund for users to actually come to use this platform every day, like to come and play skill games and everything. So, that it actually was brought back and was good dollar ecosystem. So, that is the fun thing about adding value to the ecosystem. Make it everyday use for everyone. It's not only just to spend the money on things to save or to spend. It's actually used to do a lot of things, play games, and do a lot of things about um just about for normal investment. We're going to do other activities. So that's what we actually use the dollar for everyday use. So for the second one, okay, my project was actually started as a friend actually. So my friend that gave the idea like to play this game and actually gave me feedback. And some of them are even here in this particular program. Example, Marvelous, example, Salaki. it was them that actually tested my first game. But it was really, really bad. And thanks to Real, she actually played it. She gave me more feedback regarding the game. So that is just all I just want to say. And thank you for this program actually.
That's super awesome. Super kind.
Yeah, that's very kind. We have someone else? Okay. Okay, so we don't seem to maybe have someone else, and I'm also being very mindful of time. I want to release you. Do you have anything else that you'd want to share, or that was it for now? And how can we get in touch with you after this to learn more about funding the commons, the events that you guys usually have? I know you have a newsletter, and so and also like an events page, and I can share that. But more ways to engage with you and funding the commons. Nice.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. I hope this was useful. If anyone wants to connect, I'm putting my Twitter, and I'm also going to share my Telegram here. I love geeking out about like everything related to marketing, branding, communications, builder activation. So if you have any questions, just send me a message. And with Funding the Commons, we are actually planning our next event. It's probably going to be in San Francisco. But we were also actively talking about doing a builder residency in Kenya, which I would be really, really excited about. So hopefully it's going to happen probably Q1 next year. So also feel free to follow us on Twitter. We're going to be posting about it for sure. But even virtually, we often do town halls. We run different funding routes on Artisan that I would also encourage everyone to check out because it's a really, really great platform that I'm personally like becoming very passionate about as well. And, you know, it's a whole different ecosystem as well to check out and be part of. So, yeah, and I'm also mentoring in this season. So happy to answer any questions. And if you, I don't know, want feedback, just let me know and we can have a call.
Yeah, awesome, Teresa. Yes, I wanted to mention that Teresa is one of the mentors as well, so you can reach out to her. Our information is on the mentor directory. And as for the residency, you know how excited I am because I'm based in Kenya, so excited to see that happen. And yeah, let's keep connecting, let's keep in touch. And thank you again for availing your time.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, sorry. But I was actually just finishing saying thank you for everything, and we shall stay in touch. And thank you again. I've taken a lot from this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you everyone also for showing up, and see you in the next one, and also while building in the ecosystem. Bye bye.